But anyway, we're here to talk about Terrifier 3. It's a film that, the horror fans are, rabidly awaiting. What was your first experience with these films? Because it kind of feels to me almost like the little horror film that could. It kind of came out of nowhere and has kind of taken over.
Yes. Well, so I had a unique first experience. My first experience was meeting Damien. Uh, I had done a movie for that um, Tyler Main directed with Michael Levy and Michael and his brother and Steve, and they all helped make this movie. And my wife and I were very impressed by them. And then we they shot a piece of my first movie that I directed, and then we became friends. I'm in a movie called Stream, which is opening next week. We're going to the premiere in New York City tonight. That's why I'm on the East Coast, and I met Damien on Stream, and he had to do an elaborate thing to me, and I he could see that I wasn't like, no, no, it's pulling my hair. He could, and they were taping me into something. I said, give me the tape. And I was like making sure that I was taped well. And he just saw that I was a team player, I think. And I am a team player. I love it. I love it. So when they announced Terrifier 3, I would love to pretend, Kat, that, I'm like Alec Guinness when George Lucas called and Guinness was like, I'll see if let me read your script. No, they said we're making Terrifier 3, and I said, who am I playing? Uh so so how did I get in the movie? I begged to be in the movie. And then about a year later he said, you're playing Santa Claus. And I had to keep that secret for 2 years. Uh but I was so glad that I got to do it.
I mean, given that I think, you were born in a town called Bethlehem, it seems only right that you are in the Christmas Terrifier film, right?
That's true. And do you know that simultaneously I was making Saint Nick of Bethlehem? We were making a movie, my friend Spencer Fulmore and I. We wrote and directed this movie that takes place in Bethlehem. So this was my Christmas last year. Saint Nick of Bethlehem, we had to shoot out all the Christmas elements of Bethlehem. Shot that out. Then I went and played Scrooge in North Carolina. Then I did this crazy multi-part 911 episode. At the same time I was doing that, I made a movie called How to Kill Your Family at Christmas. And then I went to Terrifier. And then the next day, I went back to St. Nick of Bethlehem. So I had a very Christmas centric 5 months, and was sometimes confused as to which Santa Claus I was being at the time. Not really, but that's fun to say.
Yeah. And you say Terrifier 3 is at Christmas. I guess outside of Halloween, I think Christmas is probably the holiday that is most seen in horror films. What do you think it is about, the holiday that, works so well for horror?
Well, uh I think it's mainly cat I figured it out right now. It's a great question. It's because we look back with great fondness uh emotionally for the nostalgia of both holidays. That's why. Because every guy and woman has a story about how great Halloween was when they were a kid, where they were, and how great Christmas was when you got that toy you wanted. So, you got to credit other guys that did it, like Bob Clark made, what was his, uh, Black Christmas, was it? With the Santa, and they did another one, or they remade that one. But Tim Burton was a guy who put them together as pure entertainment, and made it kind of a family experience. And then you've had your Krampus movies and whatnot, but I think this one it's going to be going to be the one. If you go, what's the opposite of the Tim Burton movie? Oh yes, Terrifier 3.
It's,
Terrifier 3 is the opposite. Don't let your kids, your little children watch it.
yeah, I was going to say, obviously, you said that, you're playing Santa Claus. He is a beloved icon of Christmas, of childhood even. Um, you've obviously, this is a character that you've been around for a little while. How was it playing him? And, without too many spoilers, should audiences prepare to see him in some sticky situations?
Well, I think if you look at the poster, you know, I don't think that's a spoiler to say things don't end well for old Saint Nick. Uh and I think it's okay for me to say what happened was so terrible that they couldn't actually use me to do it to. They had to do it to a facsimile of me. Multiple versions of me were used. No Daniel Roebuck was harmed in the making of this movie. Uh, Multiple versions.
Wow. And how does it feel when you are face to face with Art the clown? My husband's deathly phobic of clowns, so right there he's out. But how does it feel when you're suddenly, presented, with this like new icon of horror?
Right. Well, now I used to be a clown. Do you know that? I wonder
No.
if that's in the bio they put out. My first theatrical job consistently was at 12, I was a clown in a circus, the Lions All-Star Circus. And so I'm not afraid of clowns. And of course, one killed me terribly in 31. Um, Art the Clown, though, because he's a silent clown, he's a mime. You never know what he's thinking. And he's not, I mean, you do know what he's thinking. He's thinking insanity, but you don't know how insane he's going to get. Uh, and he gets very insane with me. David and I are both theatrical actors. Like we're both raised in the theater, and so theater actors are different than movie actors. They are both physical comedians. Not trying to overstate this. I don't want to bore you with this kind of stuff, but it makes a difference because you're doing theatrical kind of everything that Art the Clown does is theater. You know, it's different because when you're miming and smiling and it's all theatrical. So I was happy that I could meet him, and we were talking about it the other day on a panel that for us it was joyful because we both had the similar approach to how we would do the scene because we were both approaching it theatrically.
Yeah, the Terrifier series has become, synonymous with blood and gore. You've worked across a lot of horror projects. How does, Terrifier 3 compare with them in terms of, carnage levels?
Uh, it's pretty gonna be pretty gross. Um, I'd say like Carnage would 31 would Rob Zombie's 31 be the ultimate of Carnage with the sawing of the heads and all that stuff. This is gonna be up there. Past that, I think, just for the sheer number of kills, mayhem. I mean, when I went to Chris Tinsley's studio, Damien did all the effects for all these other movies, but this room was so big and he's a director. So they brought in Christian Tinsley and you go to the studio, I'd go to get they had to, foam cast me or whatever they had to do. And you'd see these other things and you'd think, oh, it's not going to be good for that guy. Oh, it's not going to be good for that girl. Oh, it's going to be worse than I thought. And Chris Tinsley did like terrific, like his staff, top notch people. And then they were on the set with us doing the actual physical effects.
And you mentioned Rob Zombie, a few minutes ago. after, being in something like 31 and, the horror that was 31, it must have been quite nice to then, find yourself on the set of the Munsters, which was, quite nice in terms of a Rob Zombie film.
It was so great. And it was so cat. There was no, I've never had an experience like it. Maybe the first movie we all lived together because of COVID. We flew together, we lived together, we worked together. And we had about a month that they kept us in a bubble so that we'd all be COVID free. Uh, there was nothing like it. You really get to know and appreciate your co-stars. And he was like dad to us. Sometimes dad would come home from work and he'd be like, oh, he'd be drinking coffee at night. You'd think, oh, dad had a hard day. Because, what we did with the Munsters, he pulled that off for so little money. And so, because it was so little money, everybody was working below what they would normally be working, but none of us gave less than 120%. And he gave 220%. Like he had to deal with a month of, well, multiple months, but a month of their craziness. And it was sad for me because I love Universal Studios, but we have lawyers in charge of everything now. This can never be a good thing. Um, Respectfully to the lawyers who do, but creative processes are not legal processes, and you want to be protected. But we were proving that they owned Uncle Gilbert, which is the creature from the Black Lagoon. At one point, Rob said, if you can't convince them, we're not going to be able to put him in the movie. So then I started like writing the emails proving that they owned the character.
I always am interested to hear, Rob Zombie, obviously, he's this musician, he has this certain persona, but then, the amount of times I speak to people who've collaborated with him, and he's just a big old pussycat in a way, he's having nice vegan meals and things. It seems like a quite a chill, director, to be leading the charge of these very twisted films.
Yeah, what he is a visual storyteller. They always say about the genius of Walt Disney, and I'll engage them in the same kind of thing because they're both overseeing an empire. Walt Disney to Rob Zombie. Um, Walt, they said, had an ability to look at us. He'd be watching something and he'd say, it's missing something over here visually. Hang a weenie, he would say, hang a weenie here, looking. And so they would go in and maybe they put a cobweb there or something. And he just had this innate visual balance idea. And obviously it worked because with all those weenie hangings, that's how we got Mary Poppins. So Rob's the same way, like he'll look in the monitor or look at the ceiling. And then he'll go pick up a paintbrush and, fix a corner of something and then we'll shoot it. A lot of directors do. I can't do that. Hell, I can't. I'd be like, it's someone I don't know how to tell you, but make it darker over there or make it redder or whatever he would do. So Damien's very much like that too. He has a very good set designer in Olga, but Damien's visual. He wants it to look a certain way.
And with Terrifier 3 bringing Christmas to horror fans early this year, why, in your opinion, should this film be a part of genre fans' October and Halloween viewing? Because I mean, it's the perfect release time for a film like this, I think.
Yeah, well, they're going to watch it in October, and then they're going to watch it again on Christmas morning. I can tell you. To get open, they're going to say, "Let's watch Terrifier." Um, it's the perfect gift for fans. They're going to love it, and they moved it up, giving them enough time to see it multiple times, which they're going to want to do as well. Uh, any movie you can make where the people go back the next day you know you got something special. So that's I think that's going to be a great big deal for film goers this fall.
And they should maybe pack their rain mats, in case they're sat in the
Yeah,
squash zone.
yeah, yeah. The rain mats, then they should probably bring a little plastic bag in case they have to. Oh, that's what the popcorn bucket's for. Two, you can just dump it out and use it and put the popcorn on top and then throw it away.
Exactly. Well, I wish you best of luck with the release. I can't wait to see what's been cooked up.
Kat, thank you so much and good luck with your multiple podcasts. Uh, and hopefully Mr. Binky, doesn't say anything that gets you kicked off the air.